really cool build that has, like, nothing going on. I know that's a weird thing to say, and maybe that's just me after having to do the Ranger and Thief videos consecutively. I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of expecting to have to explain some big quirk or weird mechanic that comes along with these things, but Holo just kinda does its thing, and that's that. A really heavily streamlined build with very few frills. Well, obviously, there's the Holosmith gimmick in itself. The playstyle is centered around making use of the trait that lets Forge go up to 150 heat, which in turn significantly buffs the damage of Sword and the Holo utility skills. So you want to maintain high heat without overloading. Ever. This takes some practice, but you can get a really good feeling for when you can safely enter Forge and when you have to leave. And being able to do that on intuition feels great. For some rough estimates to go around, go in when you're at about halfway of the second bar of heat, and leave after the second cast of 3, unless you're already close to overheating for another reason. When you're not in Forge, you're essentially using Sword 2 and Grenade 2 off cooldown, and then spending a good chunk of the rest of the time just autoing. That's something you'll see me do wrong in the footage because I'm just used to the other version. There's a whole pre-casting thing that exists, specifically preheating Forge, which is a nice jumpstart, particularly because Holo's burst damage is quite high if you do that. But it's not totally necessary. It can be more annoying to set up than it's worth, because either you're making everyone wait for a minor damage increase, or you're the one waiting for everyone else to ready check, and then heat starts decaying, and it's a whole thing, so like, it's nice, you don't actually have to. Now, while a lot of default setups for this build still show up with Pistol, it really doesn't do much at this point. Even the benchmark runs shield, and in a lot of situations it's just more useful for the CC, rather than having access to the small filler skills that Pistol has. And CC is something you're rather good at anyway. Other utility options include Projectile Reflect, Boon Strip, Condi Cleanse, and okay res, and some somewhat mediocre stab. So you do have a couple tools at your disposal, but none of them are particularly outstanding. Similarly, survivability is totally fine. Grenade Kit means you're not completely melee locked, and you're both in the medium health and armor categories. Plus, shield does actually boost your defenses, which means you're doing alright. AED is also basically a get out of death 3 card, as long as you know how to use it. And that's kind of the story with Holo. Super solid, with just enough of a gimmick to actually have an identity, but really nothing too out there in any capacity.